Looking, are we here? Let's gauge the the audio and video quality. Hopefully this is working here. Sorry for the delay, guys. It looks like I was having a little bit of an issue with my stream key. So hopefully this is working. Alrighty, let me know if it's working in the live chat here. I'm super excited to show you about 300 different pictures of limited releases that will be going up tomorrow evening. It's 5 p.m. Central. What's up, Leo? What's up, Chris Diaz, Doug? Good to see you guys. Thank you so much. So we've got 300 images that we're going to look through of special pieces. I got some new designs. I've got some new leathers. I've got some old leathers, some old classics, some prototypes, a bunch of really cool stuff. And I'm very excited to show you this one here first. I actually brought out a couple in person. We'll also look at some photos. But this is a piece of leather that we made into the everyday belt. And this is leather that I've been holding on to for years. My brother and I were trying to figure out how long we've had this. I believe it's been in our shop for 7 years. And this is a special piece of a variation on Chrome Excel. This is a leather called Woolly Chrome Excel, which is Chrome Excel processed slightly differently. It has a different hot stuffing blend that has more wool grease in it. So the temper and feel are significantly different than the Chrome Excel Classic. It has a distinct smell to it as well, but also is very, very grainy when compared to Chrome Excel Classic. I also wanted to gauge this. Maybe I'll do it so you can see it. How do I do this? Maybe I want to see it first. So I'm gauging this out to be 12.5 ounces thick. So it's also super thick is the other takeaway I wanted to give to you. So typically, maybe it's closer to 14. Is that what that says? 15? Here's a dirty secret. All leather is a different thickness from side to side, but even within the piece itself, it has typically like a ½ ounce variance, at least from Horween. So I've got a couple different of the everyday belts, which are the riveted sort of collared version of the belt that I like very much. The other difference from this belt and the belts we've been doing in the past, we're beveling the edges on the top and the bottom. So it has like a little bit more of a refined like roundedness to the edges, but then we're also hand creasing these little marks into the sides of the belt that go all the way down the top and bottom. Woolly Chrome Excel is really special. I just want to briefly skim through the ones I have here in person. I know a lot of people have been looking for this, have been refusing to do it for a bunch of years, but this is the first appearance of our trifold wallet. And it's only at the prototype phase at the moment. But people have been asking me for this. I've refused to do it because I thought it would be just a little too bulky. But we actually came up with a version here that works pretty well. So we've got our thinner version of Horween's English Tan Dublin for all the inside of this design. And it folds into 3. It's sort of like the pattern pieces from our vertical Bugs Moran on the inside as well. And then we've included the hidden card slots on the sides there too. So I know a lot of people have been asking for this one. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. We're bringing back another classic here that we haven't done in a while. We've got 100% natural Chrome Excel for a few different wallet styles, including the Johnny the Fox here. I know people have been asking for that as well. And I just brought out some stuff that I thought were total stunners. Another thing we're featuring in this drop is epic character on the pit tanned horse butt leather. This is a prototype passport design. And then I'm loving this. We've got a couple different dip dyed Cordovan pieces, hence the title of the video here, Rare Shell Cordovan. I don't think they've really made this in production at all, the dip dyed versions of shell. So the video quality here is not going to do this color justice, but we'll look at the photos. It's a really beautiful golden shade, and this is all the reverse side of the whiskey shell. We were able to cut some really nice ink stamps as well as measuring machine stamps onto some of them. And then I just picked out a few stunners. We're also featuring a couple inverted shell Cordovan colors. The camera here will certainly not do this justice, but this is inverted blue shell Cordovan on the Shorty Joe Batters. It's a prototype. And then another inverted piece that I thought was a total stunner. We'll see some photos of this guy too. This is our lucky card holder. All right, let's go through about 300 photos. And then after that, I would love to answer any questions that you guys have. So please, you're welcome to chat it up. I'll leave some questions here in the comments. And then after we get done going through some of these, I'll answer any questions you have. So the first guy here is another dip dyed piece, but this is dip dyed amaretto. So it's different than the one I just showed you. The dip dyed amaretto has been one of our customer favorite colors for a while. It's a really vibrant orangey tan. Oops, let me get back over here, excuse me. You can certainly see it has like a mild sheen to it, but it's not like the normal Cordovan. This is the reverse side of the Cordovan. And I really like it. It's sort of like a pumpkin color. That's very nice. And we're able to cut a couple ink stamps there that I think look super cool. Here's a pit tanned horse butt Johnny the Fox as well. And I don't think we've ever done this a full inside and out one of these before. This one turned out very, very well. Some of these horse butt pieces that we've been working with have a really nice suppleness to them. A lot of times a veg tan that's pit tan like this can be super, super firm, but they have got a really nice rounded feel. And then the thickness is just perfect for a Johnny the Fox like we have here. I also have one Western textured English tan Dublin Johnny the Fox inside and out. So it's a full mix, no mix of anything here. It's just a full Western texture inside and out. And then here's the look at the other belt design. So the one I showed you earlier is the everyday belt. This is our original belt style. That has a stitched buckle on it with our teardrop holes. You can see the stitch buckle there. We stitch in the keeper. And then here's the belt we just looked at. This is the everyday belt that has these Chicago screws. So you can pop in any piece of hardware you want for your buckle as long as it's a 1.5 inch wide. I did a little zoom in here to show you the grain character on the woolly Chrome Excel. So you can see the very, very fine grain on this woolly, and that's special. I think the grain character on this is very nice. It kind of has, I was just looking at some calf skins yesterday at the tannery. It kind of has a calf-like grain, a very, very fine grain on the woolly. And I think people are going to be really happy with the woolly. I'm as excited about this woolly Chrome Excel belt as I am about the Illini that I'm wearing right now. We did the everyday belt in the black Illini. And actually, if anybody's in the chat that picked up a black Illini belt, I'd be super curious to hear your experience with that leather. Because I'm loving mine. I think it's top 3 leathers for me at the moment, maybe not, if not top 2. So here's a look at that trifold with the photography. I was actually surprised at how well it folds into thirds with the temper and thickness of the leather that we chose for this design. So this English tan one turned out really well. I think we made 2 of these. And like I mentioned, we're still at the prototype phase of this. So this is subject to change. And we'd love to, that's part of what I'm feeling like the limited releases is it's just a good way for us to communicate with you guys and get your feedback. Because we're just trying to make stuff that you're interested in. But my goal as the owner of the company here is just to get leather into people's hands. So whatever designs that we can do to get you a piece of leather that you would actually get some function and use out of, that's the whole goal here. So people have been asking for this trifold for a while, and I'm shocked at how well it turned out. Like we kind of spent a bit of time on this one, but Poncho in the shop here came up with this. We did a few different iterations, and he did a nice, it's at a stage that we're able to release it here, and I'm pretty pleased with it. All right, so here's a look at that dip dyed whiskey that I showed you earlier, the one right here, same exact wallet. You can see the laptop camera here is really not doing any justice to that color. It's a beautiful golden tan. I love this dip dyed whiskey. I don't think I've seen this more than, I don't even recall seeing it, to be honest. I have a feeling we've done this maybe years ago. But I just love how this one turned out. So dip dyed whiskey, it almost has like a greenish bronze tint to it. It's beautiful. I love this wallet. And then we've got the measuring machine stamp there. Let me break that out for you. So on the side here, at the tannery, they measure the area of everything they ship out because on most leather, they're selling it by the square foot. They sell it as dollars per square foot. In the case of the Cordovan, it's priced a little bit differently, but they still put the measurement on there. They basically charge you by the piece and not necessarily by the area. And this one says Horween USA, 1.6 feet squared. And this says it was measured on February 9th. We don't have the year there, so it's hard to know when this leather was made. But I don't think it was this year. I think that might have been years ago. Here's a look at the inside. I think the way the ink stamps were lined up there is really cool. I believe Matt cut this one and he did a great job. Here's another one, same leather. This is a combination of the reverse dip-dyed whiskey and the dip-dyed whiskey with the alternating slots there. You can see how much this is a really more of an angle that, this one gets washed out in the light, so it doesn't show the color as much. I do this angle to show you more of the luster. So there's not an intense luster like you see on the normal Cordovan on the reverse, but that does polish up and really develops a great patina as you wear it. When you impart a little bit of moisture and some friction in your pocket, that reverse side of the shell really wants to glass up. Becomes quite shiny and bright and fills in a little bit. So it's a really great thing to experience. So the way you see it here in the photo, I mean, this is subjective, but to me, this is the least interesting it's going to be. It's going to get more special just with normal use. And then of course we have that skip stitch on the side for the lucky card holder. And look at the back, we have an ink stamp on this one. Looks like it was measured the same day as that last one we looked at. And the front, here's a one-shot card case in the same dip-dyed whiskey. This one was a tenth of a foot smaller, looks like. Now here's a fun one. So this is a color that I don't even know if it was purposefully made. This is a color that Skip, I think, had in development, Skip Horween. And we're calling it verdigris. We've done some tumbled verdigris in the past. It's really nice, pale green shade. So think of the Statue of Liberty, that's a verdigris. It's sort of like a patinaed bronze. So beautiful Capone money clip here. And then here's another pit tan horse butt. This is our Fat Herbie design. That's still my favorite wallet style. And this one has some of that epic. In fact, all the pit tan stuff in the drop tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central Time has intense character. They're totally random. So that's why most of these, I think almost all of these, the photo of the wallet is exactly the one that you'll get. I think we've only made 1 or 2 of some of these. In the case of this Herbie, I believe this is a 1 of 1. Check out the figuring on the inside of that. It's super cool. Here's another, we looked at the Johnny the Fox earlier in the natural chrome excel. We've got a couple different wallet styles in the full natural chrome excel. You can see some of the pull up there on the sides. So these little spots that look a little bit different, that's just the undertones of the leather coming through. If you rub your finger over that, you can rub the color to look back more like this slightly darker brown. And that's the pull-up effect that people often talk about. So we got Fat Herbie in the natural chrome excel. We also have some of the Stonewash denim cypress leather. And it seems like in the Facebook group, if you haven't checked it out on Facebook, check out the Patina Masters group. It's called Ashland Leather Patina Masters on Facebook. It seems like people in that group have been really digging this Stonewash color, so we made some more per your requests. So that's the other thing I want to repeat is anything that you guys want to see, we would love to accommodate, especially in these limited releases. I think my brother Matt pinged some people over there asking what they would like to see in this drop, and I believe a lot of this is things that people have requested. So this is a vertical 8-slot bugs. So the interior has 2 extra card slots on each side. So you got the 1, 2, 3 on each side, and then there's hidden card slots underneath each of those. Here's one of my favorite leathers. This is a leather called Vintage in a color called Slate. It's kind of like the Dublin leather, but it has a different top coat. It's like a silkier top on it that sort of breaks to this gray shade that I like very much. slate vintage. It's pretty cool. We haven't done this in a few years. It's one of my favorites. You can really see where we put a hot stamp on there, how it's melted the wax, it liquefied it, and then as it cooled off, it turned that white color I'm talking about. If you take a hair dryer over any of this, it will darken up. So in fact, if you wear this wallet and get it heated up, it will probably become very dark. You just have to kind of fold it around. So like I have here, I'll switch the camera back here. So I have a Johnny the Fox here. If this was that slate vintage and it turned darker, I could sort of just flex it around and make that wax become slightly disturbed, and it will become gray again. It's a pretty cool thing with the slate vintage here. Let's keep skimming. Here's another prototype. This one, I think we're gonna need to tweak a bit, but I think the direction is right. This is a zipper passport holder. It's got a zipper from each side. I'm not sure if I love that. I'd be curious to hear your feedback on 2 zippers. And then on the inside, we've got 2 passport compartments, some card slots, and a larger slot for something like travel documents when you're sitting on the plane. All those, I think it's like the immigration forms, I forget what they're called. You can put that in there, maybe a pen. So interesting passport prototype. Here is that leather and wallet we just looked at earlier, where the laptop camera did not do this justice at all. This is the inverted blue shell Cordovan on the Joe Batters wallet. I love the look of how that inverted shell turned out. If you're not familiar with the inverted shell, it's odds are you're not, because it's really not produced. The idea here was to get the splattered effect that we sometimes see on the back side of the shell. We wanted those splatters to appear on the shiny shell side. So the tannery finished the leather upside down, which allowed some of that splatter to end up on the shell side. And this is the result you get. And I think it looks really, really cool. I love it. I got aqua blue, little bits of green, slight bits of tan in there, a good range. Awesome. And then we have another one that's just as cool. This is the same inverted concept, but with a different stain. So this is black inverted, believe it or not. The inverted black kind of has that bronzy black, really cool look on this guy. There's even a little bit of green in there that I noticed. And here's another inverted shell piece. This is the lucky card holder in inverted blue. This is one I pulled out as a stunner to begin with. Flip through those. Another inverted piece. This is an inverted black again. Love this particular wallet. Check out the hand stained edges. That really, I think it brings it home. It really ties the room together. And you get the same color difference that you can see where the dye has not hit as hard. And those little bits of streaks, I think, look super cool on the back of this one. It's getting very sunny next to me here. Hopefully it's not too bright. Close the window a little bit. All right, so that's our Bugs Moran wallet style, a little bit more minimalist, front pocket kind of vibe. Showing the luster there and the color for you. And the inside is super neat. I love that one. Here's another fun one. We've never done this before, I don't think. This is a small zip wallet with a green interior and the green shell on the outside. We also have one in black. So here's the one in black. With that, it's like a Kelly green color on the interior. And then of course we use those Reverie zippers. If you haven't used one of these small zips from us, or even a Reverie zipper in general, they're buttery smooth. In particular, I remember when I was shopping for the different hardware for this guy, the size of the zipper that we use for this, it's a little bit finer, and I just find it to be very satisfying just to slide back and forth. So it's a really nice Reverie zipper. You can see the luster there on the black shell. And so we've got a couple different epic texture English tan Dublin Johnny the Foxes. So you can see some of the marks on the exterior of this guy. It's all stuff that the tannery can't control. And we thought it would be fun to cut into more visible spots. So if you like extra texture, that's a good one. We have 3 of these, I believe. Here's another one with some epic texture. And then the last one has this looks like the horse mane was cut into the bottom 2 card slots for that guy. So epic texture, English tan Dublin for some Johnny the Foxes. And we're almost halfway through the images here. This is the Johnny the Fox I looked at the beginning. 100% natural chrome Excel. People have been asking for this for a bit. We used to make these a lot, and I took them away from you. Now we're bringing a couple back here. But the full look of the natural chrome Excel is really beautiful. This is 100% color rate Dublin. So that's another thing we're featuring in this drop is the Dublin leather. And the particular Dublin that all these were cut from are really, really smooth. I like the feel and the look of the Dublin we have. I would tell you this, if you order one of these and get it in person, you're gonna go, wow, this looks way better in person. There's something about this color, and it must be with the wax and the color, that do not photograph as well as I'd like. It looks it doesn't look super, super different in person. It just looks more awesome in person. I don't know how else to say it, but it kind of looks brown here. It's got like a really interesting depth of color where it's got this burgundy, like wine color on the undertones and a little bit darker brown on the surface. It's really nice. I think it has something to do with the hard wax that the Dublin has on the surface of the grain that sort of obscures the beauty in the photos. Maybe it's how the light's hitting it, but that's a beautiful Johnny the Fox. Here's another horsebutt prototype. This is a passport prototype. This one had extra crazy grain character. And you've got passport slots on each side underneath these, and then cards on the top. So this is like our traveler passport holder designs. It's a little taller than the Fat Herbie. No bill slot on the exterior there. And that's how the passport goes. Here's another pit tan horsebutt in, I believe this is a regular Bugs Moran, with again some more of that epic grain. All of the pit tan stuff we cut for this drop has epic character. Here's a tall Herbie. So this is with the bill slot extended all the way to the top. There's a bill slot inside of there. Normally we put a little thumb notch on the exterior, but this is their version called the tall Herbie, which does a couple things. You get a huge context of leather for the outside here. It's one of our biggest pattern pieces. And then on the inside, you can show a grain all throughout the interior. So you don't see any of the suede side of the leather anywhere. That's one thing that adding that bill slot all the way to the top allows you to do. I just love the grain character in that one. That's probably one of the most striking pit tan horse butts I've seen. And then we have one in the tall Tony the Ant. So it's like a Herbie, it's like a Bugs, but with the bill slot all the way at the top. We don't stitch it all the way up to allow you to be able to open it a little bit more easily. This one also has amazing natural character. I think it's really beautiful. And some on the inside. This is the tall Tony. This is our standard Tony the Ant. Same as the last one, but with the thumb notch exterior that I was trying to demonstrate a moment ago right there. More intense grain character. That's a really awesome looking wallet. And by the way, the main thing about these horse butts is you get that incredible character, but the way that this leather ages is as good or better than any veg leather that I've experienced. So if you want patina, these pit tan horse butts are the way to go. It becomes darker, more golden brown, and shinier just with normal use. It's a real pleasure to experience just how nicely it changes. Here's a vertical Bugs Moran in that same pit tan horse butt. A little bit less crazy character on this, but it does still have some of those striations that I love. And it's also a little bit cleaner on the interior. This is a special piece. Same with the Johnny the Fox, because we need the very thin pieces of leather. They're still strong enough and not stretchy for these card slots. This is a special Bugs Moran as well as that Johnny the Fox. We're not able to make many of those. Here's a really intense grain, again on the pit tan horse, but this is our lucky wallet. You can see the skip stitch there. We've got one card slot on the back of it, and then more of this epic character on the inside. Yeah, that's a beautiful wallet as well. Here's another color 8 Dublin piece. This is a vertical 8 slot Bugs Moran, I believe. It looks a little taller from the picture there. Yep. No bill slot on this guy, although you can fit folded cash underneath each of the 3 stacks. So you got the 6 card slots and then 2 big openings underneath each of them. That's a That's also really beautiful. This is kind of more how it looks in person. Again, with this Color 8 Dublin, I noticed it's really difficult to photograph. Here's a Tony the Ant. You can see a really nice grain character on all that Dublin leather. And then if you look at the spine here, you can see a little bit of the burst effect, how the color is a little bit more of that eggplant for the undertones, and it's a little bit darker on the surface. And again, that's because of the wax that has been applied to the grain. It sort of darkens up the surface and gives you a tonal range. I think it's really nice. And again, the Dublin that we cut for these is maybe some of the nicest Dublin I've ever seen. Here's a tall Tony the Ant version, also in the Color 8 Dublin. Now, I believe this one, we didn't do it the way that I was describing earlier. Usually on the tall Tonys, you're able to flip this piece around so you get a continuous grain throughout the inside and the outside. And only the tall versions are the versions that were able to do that. Here's a Capone money clip, also in Color 8 Dublin. It's a very smooth Dublin. We also are including a couple of these prototype 5-slot Frank the Enforcers. So if you look on the right side there, it's actually open on one side, similar to our Lucky Wallet and Lucky Card Holder design. We've been getting some feedback from you guys. You may have noticed a theme. I'm just trying to do what you guys are interested in. We've been getting some feedback that people really like this idea of the skip stitch. And I might need to rebrand that. That's kind of a confusing term. But it's open on two sides. So it's open on the top and open on the right, which allows easy access to cards or cash. And I think I have a good photo of how that works. Yeah, there you go. So it still holds it in there very snugly, but it's easier to grab it as opposed to getting it from the top on something that's stitched all the way up the side. And then this is their, like I said, the 5-slot Frank. So we've got the 2 card slots on the front, 2 on the back, and then the open slot as well. All right, then we got more Stonewash Blue Cypress. This is a Bugs Moran in the Stonewash Blue. I'm digging this leather. I'm glad you guys like it too. Here's a Capone money clip, also in the Stonewash Blue Cypress. And then we have a basketball. This is, I think I may have talked about this on a live stream before. This is the real basketball leather that the pros use. Only the pros use that. The NCAA does not use this leather. NCAA uses synthetic, which is plastic. The pros actually use this, which is leather. And to me, the coolest thing about the basketball from like a tannery perspective or like a leather finishing perspective is that this leather starts off completely red. You wouldn't believe how red this is. And then they have a finishing technique called an inlay. So it starts up with this red pebbly leather, and then they flood the valleys of the texture with that really bold orange shade. So believe it or not, I bet you if you were to measure this, this is more red than orange in terms of surface area, but our eyes perceive it as orange, or at least mine does. But that's actually like, it starts as a really dark red, and they flood the valleys of the texture with the orange, and I think that's really cool. Yeah. It's very clean looking, the basketball. And then here's a all reverse cigar shell Cordovan Capone, where we hand stain the edges that matching cigar color. This is also a great one for patina. I was talking about the horse butt being veg tanned and developing a beautiful look with normal use. All the reverse Cordovan will do that. In fact, the pit tanned horse butt is tanned alongside the shells. So they're tanned in the same way at the same time with the same mixture. They will age in a similar way. The reverse shell and the pit tan horse butts will. All right, here's a natural Chrome Excel Tony the Ant. I think the other thing that we're trying to do for these limited releases are put up designs that we don't stock all the time. So we've de-emphasized some of the Frank the Enforcers, some of the Tony the Ants. So we're trying to still have an outlet for people to pick up those designs if they want through these limited releases. Here's a Lucky Wallet in the reverse dip-dyed whiskey shell Cordovan, and then this has the alternating card slots as well. There's the skip stitch on the side. Here's another slate vintage piece on the Lucky Card Holder. No card slot in the back of that one. This is a one-shot card case in natural Chrome Excel. There's only one of those. Then we have some JR Fold wallets. It seems like there's an interesting cult following for the JR Fold, where people really like this design. It's about as minimalist as you get. This is a design that Arnold Horween Jr. came up with in the 70s. And that's how the name of this, that's why we named it the JR Fold. It's the Junior. He cut this thing in like a shape of a T and just put his cards and cash inside and just folded it all together, sort of origami style. We thought it would just take a riff on that and just stitch in a little tab that your cards can sit in right behind there, and you put your US dollars behind it. It's super, super minimalist. Just 2 pieces of leather. Here's one in garnet shell Cordovan. And one in whiskey shell Cordovan. And then I think we have here's one in navy. So it's a very, very dark navy, I noticed. This one is like a confusing color because sometimes it looked a little green to me, sometimes it looked black. But if you tilt it at different lights, the colors sort of change a bit. So that's navy shell Cordovan. And then we have some irregulars or B grades. This is a B grade JR Fold wallet, also in the horsebutt strip. And this is a thinner piece of leather that we use for this one. I think it works really, really nicely. Actually, excuse me, this is not a B grade. We have a B grade though. This one's hand stitched as well with that brown thread on the bottom. Here's a lucky card holder, a natural chrome excel. Another horse butt. This is a vertical 8-slot bugs. I believe this is a B grade as well. There's some small, you might not even be able to see it. In fact, I bet you, unless you have a super keen eye, can't see what's wrong with it. But there's some very small cosmetic issues with this guy that I just don't have it in me to charge full price, so we're not going to. You might be able to see it. But the leather's beautiful. Nothing in there is going to break. It's just stuff that it's not our normal quality. All right, so that was a B grade that's discounted. We'll put it up tomorrow at 5. Here's another JR Fold wallet. Also a B grade for this one. And this one just had like some little stains on the top. See those top little dots? I'm not happy with it, so we're not going to sell it for full price. But you get the incredible, if you wanted to just try a JR Fold, this might be a good way in the door. You can also see this one's hand stitched with that teal color stitching. Here's another B grade JR Fold. You can see the stain also on this one. I believe this is color 4 shell Cordovan, which is between the garnet and the color 8. It's like a medium brown with reddish undertones. And then we have, that's it. That's everything. So I'll flip it back over here. I would love to chat with you guys for a few minutes to see if you had any questions about any of the limited releases or leather in general or wallets and belts and stuff we make. It's my favorite part of the day, and I've got maybe like 15 minutes. So if you guys got some questions here, I'll try to flip back over to see what you're chatting about. I'll go back to the top. Oh, you got your Align belt in epic grain. Hell yeah. Awesome, man. No field notes this time, Jesse Rodriguez. I'm sorry. We do still make those. You can always have one made to order for you, but I would say hop in the Ashland Leather Patina Masters group. And actually, there's some rules there that I should get a little bit more strict on. We require people to post photos, or I require people to post photos in that group, because I don't want it just to turn into like a weird text spam thing. The whole idea of that group was to show like how leather ages. I think that's the fun part. But you might be able to hop in there, and if you can find the thread where Matt was asking for limited releases, just ask him for some field notes holders. That'd be a good idea. Got down from the city poll just in time for the live. What are you up and working on polls? Dude, Orange Cat is crazy. How many horsebutt fat Herbies in this drop? Let me verify the quantity for you. Fat Herbie. Herbie? There's one pit-tanned horsebutt fat Herbie and one tall Herbie. That's it. Very limited release, I guess. I mean, we're kind of always doing one of ones. Thicker than a Snicker, Doug Rosenthal. Have you considered adding one Ashland sticker with each package wallet to spread the word? I wouldn't mind putting a few around LA. I could do that. I guess I wanted to think about my response, but yeah, I mean, that's probably a good idea. I guess I'll just tell my own experiences. Like, I usually just throw those things out. Like, if Apple sends me a phone or whatever, once I buy a phone every 3 years, I just throw out their sticker, and I always feel dirty throwing stuff out. So I guess I've kind of shied away from like little inserts and stuff, but we should probably think about something like that. It's not a bad idea. What is this sexiness? It's me. I'm Phil. Cheeky Brookie. When's the drop coming? Great question. Allow me to plug it again one more time. We've got a limited release coming tomorrow. It's Wednesday, the day after tax day, 5 p.m. Central Time, Chicago time. We will be putting all of these things up that we just looked at on the limited release page of our website, ashlandleather.com. I also send out a newsletter. So if you're not on there, you should be, and that's the best place to get first alerts of when things are dropping. The order of operations is I make the page, the products on that page go live exactly at 5. I verify that it's working, then I send out the newsletter. So if you're waiting for the newsletter, you might be slightly behind. That's what I'm trying to say there. Usually the first notice here is I do these live streams the day before, just to give you a little preview, see what you're getting into. People were asking for a preview of the Marbled event I did last week. I was actually considering that Marbled event is like, I guess I did put them up on the live stream, on the limited release page, but I felt like that was just like its own little thing. I probably should have done a preview video for that too, to be honest. So I heard some feedback there, and I really loved those marbled pieces. Actually, a couple other things I wanted to mention. I did a full, I have to get it approved still, but I'm so excited for you guys because I'm excited to watch it again. I did a full 1 hour plus tour of Horween yesterday, all mic'd up with somebody following me with a camera, showing the entire tannery and how the leather is made step by step. And I need to get the tannery to approve it to make sure I'm not showing any trade secrets. I don't think I did, but if they approve it, you're gonna get a full uncut tour of the tannery, hopefully soon. And I'm super excited about that. I shot that yesterday. And we also I shot a little video of like how to use Tanner's Blend on some Grantstone boots, which is another exciting announcement. I don't know if they started doing it yet, so maybe it's not yet an announcement. I think they have, but if you order boots or shoes from Grantstone now, you should verify this with them first. You get a free bottle of Tanner's Blend in every boot shipment from them. So I decided it'd be a good idea to like make a little guide for how to do that. So I got to work on editing the video we shot yesterday of like how to polish up and care for your boots with the Tanner's Blend. It's a really, really great conditioner. All right. Does Ashland ever line their wallets? I'm really sensitive to the rough side of leather, even when it's filled in or smooth. That's a great question, Andy. I have thought about doing that a lot. I have strayed away from doing a lined bill slot. So for example, like I know exactly what you're talking about. This is a great example here. I'm using some Illini Latigo that we thin down, which we never really have done before. So you're seeing like a naked suede side on the interior of the bill slot here. Usually, in fact, always, we usually put a little bit of a resin finish on the interior to smooth all those fibers down. So there's a little bit of resin that just slicks it, makes it smooth. Our philosophy here, or I guess my philosophy, has always been make it as much leather as possible and less other stuff, because the other stuff is what tends to break. So I've shied away from it for that reason. I do like how it looks on some other wallets where they accent things with other materials. I think that looks cool. The other thing that could open it up to is RFID blocking technology, which honestly is like kind of BS, but people ask for it, and I would like to make them a wallet. So You could put in some RFID blocking material that's non-leather in there too, that in theory would block it from one direction. But the problem with radio frequencies is they go every which direction. So all these wallets that are sold as RFID blocking are somewhat misleading because you need to enclose the entire thing in a bag, like a Faraday bag, to block all the radio frequencies. So I kind of get worried about marketing it as RFID blocking. I'm worried about other people that do too because it seems disingenuous. And then the third thing is adding another piece of material behind the leather increases the thickness. And I've noticed our customers are often asking for thinner wallets. Every now and then I get people that say, I need super thick. That's the only way you know the leather's good. They're wrong, but we can make them a thick wallet. I actually happen to like thinner wallets myself. So adding material makes it a little thicker. It's not leather. I've been thinking about it. So that's a good question, Andy. Chris Diaz, I love that gray, the slate. Do I have it here? I don't have it here. Yeah, slate vintage is one of my favorites. I also like the gray Dover that we did. I lost my place. Navis Astro says, I feel that Lucky Card wallet and card holder need to have a few more left-handed friendly options. We actually thought about that. We were thinking about selling it as like a lefty version and a righty version because, like as shown here, when it's open on the right side, this is probably more appropriate for a right-handed person. We could very easily make you one that's stitched open or not stitched on the left side that will allow it to be a lefty version. We thought about that. And actually I had a whole design in mind called the switch hitter, which is kind of like the Joe Batters where you could open you could open the bill slot from the right. It is exactly the Joe Batters. So I didn't mention that, but Joe Batters has that same idea with the skip stitch. So the switch hitter would have been, we would have sold it for a lefty and a righty, or this would be the right-handed version that you can open from that side, and then the left-handed version would be there, switch hitter. But that would still be, it's too confusing, but we could do that by request, man. Doug Rosenthal, the black and green zipper, your Alien wallet. Ooh, I like that. Dude, Alien's like, I was going to say one of my favorite movies. I think it's either number 1 or number 2 favorite movies, along with Back to the Future. Bob Smith says, is that the smallest bifold for cash? The smallest thing that we have that holds cash is the JR Fold. I mean, usually when people say bifold or billfold, you're probably thinking about something like the Johnny the Fox. The Joe Batters is pretty small, but like, I think if you're like wanting really small, you should consider something like that 5-slot Frank the Enforcer, where you can fold the cash in half and tuck it in. Some people don't love folding cash. The other one that's small that you can fold cash are the variants on the Bugs Moran. Those are you have to remember you're kind of constrained by the size of a credit card, or a Costco card in this example. So like you're never going to get a wallet that's smaller than this, and cash is a little bit bigger than this. So we're sort of at the small limit of size with the Bugs Moran and the Capone to some extent, and the Frank. The Frank's about as small as you could make something that will actually fit any cash. That's a good question. Doug's happy to see the Color 8 Dublin returning. Underrated leather. For sure, man. I think it didn't do well for us in the past. I think it's because I don't know how to take photos. I think it's so much more beautiful in person. I wish I could capture its essence better, and I don't know how to do it. You gotta come to visit the shop. I'd love to show that leather to anybody that wants to see it. But you're right, it's totally underrated. It's beautiful. Bob Smith says, is this leather stiffer or more moldable than cowhide or calf? I'm assuming that you're talking about the horse butt. Let's assume that for a second. The temper of the leather is not necessarily indicated by the hide type. So I can make you a calf that's super, super firm or a calf that's super, super soft. And I could do the same thing with a horse butt or cowhide. The hide itself doesn't necessarily matter. It's more about what's tanned inside of it and how it was prepared. So if I would say that veg tan stuff, especially pit tan stuff, tends to be more dense, therefore often more firm. You can see this here is not very firm. So the pit tan stuff we're using has a really, really nice temper to it. In fact, I'd say this is the roundest pit tan stuff I've come across. Usually veg of the same style is like a piece of wood. It's usually, you wouldn't be able to flop it around like that. So it's got a really great body to it. Ashai says, is horse butt similar to latigo or steer hide leather? No. I don't know what you're familiar with, Ashai, but what the pit tan stuff is, it's literally, in the tour video that I hope to publish soon, you will see me demonstrating where the horse butts get tanned in a pit. And what the tannery does is they take an entire horse hide, which goes from the head to the tail and the legs, and they crop off the hide from the waist of the animal to separate out the butts from the fronts, or what they call it. So like imagine my waist, we cut my skin in half. The butts themselves have that really dense membrane called the shell inside of them, and they're hidden in the skin and they don't know where they are. So they have to crop conservatively so they don't cut into the shell. So there's a little bit of extra room that they cut above the waist that allows them that little bit of leeway. And what you're left with are the two shells and a strip of horsebutt leather that you can't tell where the shells are and where they end. So they have to start to process that leather. So basically you tan that entire cropped section below the waist in a pit, and they separate off the shells from the area above it. What these are made from are the areas above the shells. So they're tanned just like Cordovan. It's similar to latigo, like you're asking about, in that it is very grainy. But what people often imagine when they hear the word horsebutt is this incredible figuring and all these little bits of wrinkles. I think a lot of people have equated this look to horsebutt leather. So often they're looking for that. It's not in most pieces, to be honest. A lot of times it's very smooth. We do see more of it in the horse butts. I would say this is more similar to like, if you were to take a leather sole on your shoes and make it 10 times softer, that's more similar to what this is like with that epic grain. So very, very grainy. And then the grain character on horse is much different than steer hides. It's more coarse for horsehide. People also, I haven't really tested this, but it's my understanding, and I've been told this, that both kangaroo and horsehide leather, the grains are more scratch resilient or resistant when compared to steer hide. So in theory, if you believe that, I haven't verified it, it's got a tougher grain when compared to the steer hide. So it's not necessarily like latigo or steer hide, I'm sorry. Bob Smith, which style is smallest bifold for cash? Does it compare the size to the money clip? Yeah, so it depends on if you want to fold your cash in half, Bob Smith. But if you do not want to fold your cash in half, I'd say the JR fold actually might be the smallest. Most people are going to want a Johnny the Fox if you're using cash. You might also want to consider this a new trifold. That can fit cash in the back here, but this is not smallest. If it was me, I would do the Capone because I don't love carrying a ton of cash, but I have to carry it. The Capone is great because you don't have to put any cash in there, and adding the clip on the outside doesn't add to the thickness. So I would consider Capone, Bugs, that JR fold. But it kind of depends on if you want to fold your cash in half or not. Oh, you like the green JR fold, Chris? Yeah, that hatch grain. The textures, when you press textures into colors, I've noticed it's almost like it squeezes the color out and makes it more interesting. So any color that has a texture pressed into it, I think you're just getting more color depth that makes it look interesting. I'm glad you like it, Chris. LA says, do you offer custom orders? I want a Fat Herbie Color 8 marble. I could do that, LA. I would recommend you email my team at info@ashlandleather.com. Just tell them what you're looking for. I would love a fat Herbie and marbled colorate. We have a custom fee that's associated with that. It's probably going to take about 6 weeks to make right now. But with that, you're able to spec out a bunch of things. If you have any other ideas, things that you would like to modify in your Herbie, we can do that for you too. You can change the thread color. You can change the stamping. You can change the edge detailing. We can work with you on that. But the problem with the marble shell stuff is like all the marble pieces are different. So it's fairly difficult to do made to order for marbled shells because you might not love what we choose to cut for you, and you kind of can't choose it because every piece is totally wild. It's like trying to get two identical Jackson Pollock paintings, right? It's a little bit tricky with the marble, but we can get something for you. Chris Lee says, thanks for doing another live. Enjoy these. How much of the limited releases come from the leather you saved in inventory versus new stuff? It's, I'd say it's 95% stuff that I've been collecting for years and years. Last week in the marbled event, there was some new marbled textures that Skip was really excited about, and he wanted us to make some stuff to see what people thought about it. So that's an example of something new. But as I look around here, all these leathers are super old, like this woolly Chrome Excel belt, it's just super intense. It's heavy as hell. I've been sitting on this leather for at least 7 years. Some of these inverted shells I remember getting during the pandemic, so these could be like 4 or 5 years old. This natural Chrome Excel, I don't even know when I bought that leather, but it's been sitting around. These horsebutt strips, I think, are within the last year or so. So it's like stuff I just like and collect. In fact, this Align that we've been using, I've had for a while too, and it's been sitting at the tannery for a long time. So it's actually had a nice amount of time to mellow out and age. I've noticed, especially with the leathers that have a lot of oil and grease and wax tanned into them, as they sit around, they just get better and better. So it's kind of part of the strategy, but honestly, it's like a bad business move, right? Because if you buy all this leather, you're just putting all your cash into leather that's doing no good other than to just look at it. So it'd be smart of me as a business person to like turn that leather into cash. But I like looking at it, and I like collecting them and looking at different variations. Why go live and ignore comments? Weird. Just make commercial. Never mind. Have fun, I guess. All right, Bob. See you, man. Doug says Q&A is after the product reviews. Phil, when will you start making jackets? I don't think I'm gonna do jackets. We could. It's a lot. That's hard. And there's people that do a good job, and we probably shouldn't. Junior says, what leathers will be available in the Bugs Moran model? Hoping for slate gray. Let me check on that for you, man. So we have a vertical 8-slot Bugs and pit tanned horsebutt. We have got one stonewashed blue Bugs. We have a vertical 8-slot Bugs in color 8 Dublin. We have 2 vertical Bugs in the pit tan horsebutt. We have 1 Bugs in pit tan horsebutt. We have 1 Bugs in inverted black, and 1 vertical 8-slot Bugs in denim blue Cypress. I keep losing my track. Sorry, Junior. Don't have slate gray. We should have done that. I don't know if we have more leather, more of that slate gray, but you might want to ping the team and see if we can make something for you. Or just drop it in the Facebook Patina Masters group, Ashland Leather Patina Masters. How many John the Fox Chrome Excel available? I think we made 3 of those, Richard. So there's only 3 of the 100% natural Chrome Excel Foxes. Staying out of the steam room. You know what, Linda? Thank you for remembering that. And it's so good to see your name, Linda. I actually have been going back into the sauna. I did have that like weird health scare. I forgot that I said that on here. I think I was probably sick. I had some like congestion, something, and ran a bunch at the gym and then did a bunch of weightlifting, didn't eat any food, had a ton of caffeine, and then went into the sauna, plus being sick. I think I just overdid it. Trying to do too much stuff. But I feel great. I feel really good now. Thank you for caring. David says, there's just one natural Herbie Lucky card holder. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Is there one natural Chrome Excel Lucky card holder? Let me check for you. There's only one. You can hop on that one for sure. How many B grade JR folds? There's two. Oh, in the horse butt. Excuse me. Southeast Boys asks, how many B grade JR folds in the horse butt? There's only one B grade in the horse butt. Only one of those. And it's exactly the one in the photos. You'll see those little dots at the top. It's fine. Especially after you wear it, that's going to blend in fine. Is it easier to insert some vinyl cards into reverse shell capones than natural shell capones? I'm not sure what you're asking, Richard. Vinyl cards. Are you talking about like the little sleeves that people want to see, like an ID window type of thing? Or are you just talking about like a Costco card or like a credit card? But honestly, they're both equally easy if you're talking about credit cards. Although the shell might even be smoother. So like a reverse piece, have the shell on the inside, it might be a little smoother, but they're both, I've never had a problem with either. Chris says, Tanner's Blend or Venetian Shoe Cream? Great question with not enough context. Tanner's Blend is really great day to day, month to month. Use it maybe once a month as needed for nourishing the leather. It gives it a nice glow, but it doesn't change the color and it doesn't increase the luster. Venetian Shoe Cream is a little bit more, and when I say a little bit, I really mean a little bit more intense than the Tanner's Blend, where it has turpentine in it. So some people don't love that. It will clean the leather a little bit more aggressively, but it also has harder waxes in the Venetian Shoe Cream that increase the luster. So if you're trying to get it a little shinier, Venetian Shoe Cream will give you more luster than Tanner's Blend, and Tanner's Blend will give you better conditioning properties than the Venetian, and it also doesn't change the color. David B says, I think you mentioned last stream you had a buddy working on a channel or something with boots and shoes. Any update there? I forget, David. There was a guy that has like a YouTube channel where he cleans different leather. I suck. I forget his channel's name, but I need to send him. I'm actually wearing them right now. I need to send him these boots for him to polish up and make a video of with the Tanner's Blend. He got Tanner's Blend. He loves it. So I probably should do that today. Thanks for the reminder. We're doing too much stuff. Andy says, awesome. Was thinking about the lines of a thin leather calfskin liner, but thanks so much for the info. Yeah, we can do, okay, so you just don't like the suede side as a liner, Andy. Yeah, we can do liners in leather. And again, just the only thing I would caution is just if you want it to be thin, that will give you a little bit more restrictions. So it might bulk it up a tiny bit. Orange Cat says, what leather is my current Johnny the Fox? This is a Line A Latigo in a brown color. And we're going to, here's a sneak preview since people have stuck around this long. The sneak preview is we're going to do some of the everyday belts in this brown Line that I think people have been asking for other colors of the everyday belts. I'm still super happy with my black one, but we will be doing belts out of the same leather. But this is the brown Line from Horween. I really love it. This might be another one that you kind of just have to see in person, but it's super grainy. I don't know if the camera will show this. Let's see. Look at it. See the grain on the, just look at like where it's folded over that card on the inside. It's just like mega grainy and super intense and like firm, and it just feels like super tough. I don't know. It just feels awesome. I think it looks awesome. It's just really, really dense and waxy. I think it's the move. I love the Align. Are you guys planning on doing more stuff in football? Yeah, we'll do more. Football is one of the products that Horween makes that is special that nobody else can make. So that's something I like to do. Come on, jackets that make a lot of money. Phil, if you lift weights, try pre-workout drink or powder. Tell me more, because I have been starting lifting weights and I don't know what I'm doing. I did have a couple like personal trainer sessions, but they're like, "Oh, you're so inflexible and like you're not activating these muscles. Like you got to do all other things before you go lift the weights. I'm like, all right, cool. So then I just started doing, I know it's maybe a little dangerous, but I'll like watch a YouTube video and like try to learn how to do the weights myself. But I would love a recommendation for a pre-workout drink or powder. No Stonewash Denim Johnny the Fox, right? This drop. I'm sorry, David. Bummer. Maybe that's a good idea. We should do those. It seems like there's a lot of interest in that color. Pre-workout, just by consuming it, you'll feel like a horse. Dude, I always feel like a horse. All right, it's been an hour, like almost on the dot. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really great questions. If anybody's still sticking around and you're interested in any of the stuff that we looked at in the video today, they're all going to be available on the website tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time. If you're on the newsletter, you'll get a notification there. But honestly, just from like the past few years of doing these, it seems like people get maybe 30, like a third of them to a half of them before the email even hits the inbox. So you kind of have to be there to snipe it like right at 5, which I know is like not pleasant. But honestly, there's only one of this. There's only one of this. You're just not going to get it. I don't know how else to do it more fairly other than to do these preview videos. And that's what's helping me sleep at night. Is like I want it just to be fair. The other thing I do is I get email. I'll tell you this. People will email me after these live videos saying, "Oh, Phil, you had that passport holder in the video. Can I buy that right now?" And the answer is always no. Like if I've shown it on a preview video, this is not going anywhere until somebody buys it from the site. So I just want it to be fair, and I get it. It's tough. A lot of these, especially like marbleds and inverteds, there's only one that can ever exist, so it's frustrating. Sometimes you experience allergic reactions to certain substances commonly found in leather, such as phenol or chrome. I was wondering if shell Cordovan. That's a really great question, Maxim. So it's a very common allergy for chrome, very common. And most of the leathers, in fact, I'm looking here right now, obviously the Chromexcel leather has chrome in it. This Aligna has some chrome in it, but the Horsebutt does not have chrome in it. The Dublin does not have chrome in it. This shell Cordovan does not have chrome in it. This shell Cordovan. I think you'd be happy with the Dublin or the Cordovan. The Cypress leather we use has chrome in it. You don't want that. We only have one belt that you could choose, which is the English Tan Dublin. But yeah, that's a really great question. And if you want more, like I have a ton of allergies. I just did my allergy testing again. I'm allergic to everything, so I'm very sensitive to your issue. If you need more help with that, Maxim, and you're concerned about any leather, email me. It's Phil, Phil, at ashlandleather.com. You say, hey, Phil, I'm worried about this leather. You think it's got chrome in it or phenols? Like, will I have any problems? And I'll do my best to help you out. But the Cordovan doesn't have that. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you.